Let's talk about some knit projects, y'all. Hello everyone, Rochelle here, and I'm back to share some yarn goodness with y'all today. Okay, so sometimes when I finish projects, I have leftover yarn, and I'm sure you do too. So that drives me crazy. Like when I have extra yarn, because when I buy yarn, I try to buy just enough for the project, but then sometimes I overbuy and I have like several skeins left. And yeah, and to me, like half of skeins, they're not scraps, they're just like leftover yarn. I think for me, scraps are like, I don't know, like when you cut your ends off and you have a bunch of little tiny ends and you put them in a drawer, I don't know, a jar or something, and then you can like stuff them with amigurumi. I don't know. What do you all think? Is there a difference between leftover yarn and scrap yarn? I don't know. Anyway, so I have a lot of yarn left over and I was wondering what to do with it. So I decided to knit some accessories. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to the first one. Now, the first one is the Joo Headband, and it is designed by Anne Fiscum-Sund of November Knits. And so this is a paid for pattern. And when I bought the pattern, she was having like a 40 to 50% off sale. So I bought this pattern along with some other patterns from her. Now, this headband is really something that you probably could figure out on your own, but you know, I didn't mind. I just went ahead and bought it. I think it cost me like $2. I don't believe that's the regular price, but when I got the pattern on sale, I only paid $2 for it. So it wasn't like a super big deal. Okay, so let's talk about the pattern. Now, the yarn weight that it calls for is a bulky weight yarn, and the size ranges are from 3 to 5 years, 6 to 7 years, 8 to 10 years. And then for the adults, we have an extra small and a small, and a medium to large. Okay, so I used, let me see what size. Okay, so I knit the extra small size, and I'll talk about it a little bit later, but this was like my second time attempting this. In fact, I'll just go ahead and talk about it now. So on this channel, I try to mention like centimeters and inches, you know, the imperial system and the metric system. Anyway, this pattern is only written in centimeters. And so I thought, okay, I'll just go ahead and knit the medium large size, you know, that should fit my head. I made that thing, y'all. That headband was so big on my head, it was ridiculous. So I ripped that one out and I made, first of all, I converted from centimeters to inches, and I realized that I had made the 23-inch circumference instead of the 21-inch circumference. And so I ripped that all out and I ended up making the extra small adult version, and it fits a lot better. And so for the needle size, I did use the recommended US 8, which is a 5mm knitting needle. And the yarn that I used, it might look familiar to you all because I used it for my wave of change jacket. And so the yarn that I'm using is Paint Box Yarn Chunky, and it is in the colorway Midnight Blue 337. And it is 100% acrylic yarn, and I use half a skein. That was all that I had left, was a half a skein of yarn, and that's what I ended up using. And so I love this, and I think it goes great with my wave of chains jacket, and that jacket is designed by Denise Byron. So the yarn is amazing. Absolutely amazing. It's so squishy. It's beautifully saturated. I love this color. The stitch definition is really good. There is a very slight halo, but I do recommend this yarn. I think Paintbox has a lot of really good yarns. I have some here. This is their superwash yarn, so that's cool. This is superwash wool, but this one is acrylic, and so it feels amazing and squishy, and I love it. So yeah, Really good yarn. I think in terms of acrylic yarn, paint box has probably become one of my favorites. I really like this yarn. And so, yeah, it's a really good yarn. Or should I say this particular one, the paint box chunky, has become one of my favorites. I need to try some more from paint box to make a verdict on that. But it's a simple headband. It's just knit and stockinette stitch. And then you seam the two ends. So you just seam it like that. Yeah, it's a really, really good headband. So yeah. And I'm going to be putting clips of me wearing, if I haven't already, I'll be putting clips of me wearing these. Y'all, it is hot. It is super hot. So I won't be trying them on in the video, but I will be putting videos and pictures of everything that I talk about today. I hope y'all are staying cool out there. I really, really do. Like, I don't know who ticked the sun off, but y'all need to make up. Y'all need to apologize. Just, you know, say, I'm sorry, son. I did not mean to offend you. Please stop cooking the humans, okay? If we could just, you know, work on that, that would be fantastic. But anyway, the pattern calls for holding 2 strands of worsted weight yarn together. So that's going to make a bulky, but I just held 1 strand of bulky weight yarn. So that worked out really well for me. Oh, actually, it calls for 2 strands of worsted and sport weight yarn. So 1 strand of worsted, 1 strand of bulky. Why do I keep saying that wrong? 1 strand of worsted and 1 strand of sport is what the pattern calls for. And like I mentioned, I just used 1 strand of bulky and it worked out just fine. And I didn't really realize that 1 strand of worsted, 1 strand of sport makes bulky. Because I know 2 strands of fingering makes a DK. Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. I really need to learn and memorize these yarn weights and how they go and everything like that. Okie dokie. So I knit in stockinette for 8.5 inches. And then I folded it. And then I cut like a 50-inch tail. And that's what I use to seam this up. So really simple. I'm trying to think if the pattern specifies how to seam it. I don't believe it does, but I love my seam. Beautiful seam. Yeah. So as I mentioned, I think I did a whip stitch. Or did I do no, I don't believe it was a mattress. Anyway, I seamed it together and I really love it. And like I said, I don't believe the pattern specifies how to seam it up. So you can use whatever seaming method that you prefer. And so as I mentioned before, this is my 2nd attempt on this headband. It was ginormous. So I'm much happier with this one. And so I did block it. I wet blocked it and I just let it air dry. Yeah, that's pretty much all that I did. Blocking was really, really simple. And yeah, it blocked out really well. And I really enjoyed the process of blocking it because it was such a small little pattern. But after I blocked it and it dried and all that good stuff, I did try it on. And of course I had to try it on with my Wave of Change jacket, you know, to coordinate the whole outfit. And I can't wait till it gets cold enough where I can wear the set together. we have the Bandana Cowl, and this is designed by Purl Soho. So this is a free pattern, and it calls for Aran weight yarn, and it comes in one size. So I use the recommended needle. I use the recommended needle size of US 10 6mm. And what's really cool about this pattern is you're kind of getting like a 4-in-1 deal on this, because it comes in 4 different variations. So you have the color block version, which is the version that I made. And then you have the Breton stripe version, a transitional stripe version, and then you have a monogram version, which is cool because it teaches you how to, I don't know if it's double stitching or how they're doing that, if it's color work, but basically you can design like a letter or initial into the pattern. So I think that's really cool. Let's talk about the yarn that I use. And this yarn might look familiar to you because I have used it in another project, but let's talk about the yarn. Let's see, I've got labels everywhere. What's this one? Okay. All right. So let's talk about the first one. The first yarn that I used was Lion Brand Homespun and the stripes. And that is this color. Yeah, this color down here. This yarn down here. And each ball is 6 ounces, 170 grams, 185 yards, 169 meters. I only used half a skein to do this part because I had a half a skein left over from a previous project. But this yarn is 98% acrylic and 2% other fibers. I'm going to guess that other fiber is probably polyester. Not sure. If you know, let me know. But it is a number 5 bulky weight yarn. And this pattern calls for Aran weight, but I just decided to do bulky because I really wanted to see how this was going to look. Okay, so the colorway is called Beachside Stripes. So it's really nice. I really enjoyed using this yarn. I have heard from crocheters, because I crochet and I knit. I've heard from crocheters that they do not like crocheting with homespun. I don't know if it's the texture or because, you can't see the stitches. I'm not sure what it is, but knitting with homespun is amazing. I love the texture as it's, sliding through my fingers. I really enjoy working with the homespun. Okay, so the next one is, let's see, this is Lion Brand. Yep, 2 of Wands, Hue and Me. And it is a chunky wool blend. Each ball is 4.4 ounces, 125 grams, 137 yards, 125 meters. And this is also a number 5 bulky weight yarn. And this is 80% acrylic and 20% wool. And so that makes it really warm. And the colorway is called Magic Hour. So this is it. And let me show you all the back. Love it. And so I thought they went really, really well together. So this project was inspired because you may remember, was it last year or earlier this year? I can't remember. But anyway, I did a test knit with this hat. So this is the Bonnet Skog hat by John Philip Cliche. And it was a test knit. And basically, I knit it and I had like half a skein left of each. Yeah, I knitted it at the end of last year, actually. But yeah, so I had a half a skein of yarn left from this, and I paired it together with my bandana, and I just feel like it goes so well together. I really, really do love it. This cowl is knit from the bottom up. And the funny thing about that is when I was first making this cowl, it looked like I was making a thong because you start down here at this bottom point. And for the longest time, the pattern is just this V-neck thing going on. And it was really, really weird. Very interesting construction, but with a product or a pattern like this, you just have to trust the process, and it turned out beautifully, as you can see. And it's so funny because it's a bulky weight yarn, and so the cowl looks huge, but this is going to be so warm and cozy, and yeah, that's going to be great. So because I had never done a construction like this before, I decided to put in a lifeline just in case I needed to rip back or something like that. Also, so with this pattern, it uses a ton of short rows. And it gives you the option between wrap and turn and the German short rows. And so I had never done wrap and turn short rows at the time, so I just decided to go with the German short rows because I am more familiar with that. But let me tell y'all, if you don't know how to do short rows, you will learn today, okay? You will learn with this pattern if you decide to make it, okay? Because it is nothing but short rows. It's like you do your ribbing. Let's see, is that? No, not the ribbon. You do your purl rows, and then from here up, nothing but short rows. And you can decide which short rows you want to do, but it is nothing but short rows. And so I feel like this would be an amazing pattern if you want to learn how to do short rows, because not only are you using a thicker weight yarn, but also it's very simple, and you're going to be doing that all the way up while you're increasing. So yeah, it's a really good pattern for those who want to learn how to do short rows or brush up on short rows. And it's really cool because, you know, maybe you can make your first one with German short rows, and then you can make another one with wrap and turns, or whichever one that you want to work on. So I think that's really, really neat. So love that. And like I mentioned, it's really large, but that does not bother me at all. I think it's going to be nice and cozy. Hopefully we have a cool or a cold winter, because it is like here in, at least in Eastern North Carolina, we have very late summers. It might be like October before it starts to cool down. So I hope I get to wear my stuff. I really do hope I get to wear my stuff. And sometimes I really wish I lived in a colder climate. Because, you know, like as a knitter, as a crocheter, as a crafter, it's like I like making all these things, but then it's like I have to wait so long to wear them. But anyway, that's a weather rant. You know, I could do this all day. So let's talk about the dimensions of my finished project. So I wrote this down. Okay. So your neck, or the neck opening from here to here, is 12.5 inches. And then the width from here to here is 14 inches. And so the width from left to right, 14 inches. The neck opening from left to right is 12.5. And so the longest point from the hem, from the neckline all the way to the bottom tip, is 19.5 inches. And of course, if you use a different weight of yarn, your dimensions are going to be completely different. Purl Soho used an Aran weight yarn, and yeah, my finished measurements are way bigger than theirs. But yeah, so I did spray block it, and I pinned it, and yeah, so then I just let it air dry. And then I after I finished air drying, I waited and waited and waited. It actually didn't take that long to air dry. I put a fan over it. You know, it dried pretty quickly, so I was really happy about that. But after I did all of that, I tried it on, and yeah, I loved it. break here and chime in and talk about why it is so fun to make accessories. And I thought of 3 different reasons and I wrote them down. So the first reason is they make great projects for warm weather knitting. It is super hot right now, and I'm sure most of you living in the Northern Hemisphere don't really want a big bulky cardigan or sweater on your lap right now. And so these accessories, they're really light. Even if you're using a bulky weight yarn, it's really light on your lap. It's not taking up a whole lot of space and making you hot and stuff like that. And so that's why I think a small accessory is perfect. The next one is they are great projects for when you need a break between big projects. And I definitely find that is true for myself, especially if I finished like a t-shirt or, oh, what else have I made? A cardigan or something like that. It's a really nice little way to just take a break. It's like you still want to knit, you still want to crochet, but you don't want something that's going to take a very long time. Something that's just going to be like a good way to calm down after a big project, you know, take a break, but then kind of hold you over to your next project. So yeah, it's really good for when you need a break between those big projects that you're working on. And the third reason that I've come up with is they provide instant gratification. Sometimes you might get bored. Sometimes you might get impatient, especially when you're knitting or crocheting something as big as a blanket. You're just like, oh my gosh, this is just like rows and rows of stockinette, or this is rows and rows of half double crochet or whatever. You get bored and you just kind of need like a energy boost. And so these small projects are a great way to provide instant gratification. And you know, it's like when you knit accessories, it really makes you feel like you've accomplished something. You've gotten that gratification like, yes, I have finished something. Because a lot of times if you're making a blanket, it's just like, oh, when will I ever finish this thing? And so yeah, those are my reasons why I think knitting, crocheting, making these accessories are really good. So let me know if you make accessories, especially during the warmer weather, and what kind of projects do you make? I would love to know. The next project I want to talk about is the Heart Dishcloth, and it is designed by Emily Jogas. So I don't have this one with me because I gave it away as a gift, and I have lots of pictures and I have lots of videos that I will be sharing with you all about my process through knitting this dishcloth. But yes, the recipient was very happy, so I'm really happy about that. But this is a free pattern, and it calls for worsted weight yarn. And so the pattern sample was 9 by 9 inches, but my dishcloth's final measurements were 10 inches by 9 inches. So close to a square, but not quite, more of a rectangle. But yeah, and I'm sure as it's being used, it'll be stretched out even more. So yeah. Now, I did use the recommended needle size, which was a US 7 4.5 millimeter knitting needle. And so the yarn that I used, it's purple. Okay, so the yarn that I use is Yarn B Fundamental Cotton. It is in the purple colorway, and it is 3.52 ounces, 164 yards. And let's see, they didn't put the grams or the meters on here, so I will stick that somewhere up there. I don't know what, well, it's just interesting. Not all companies do that. But anyway, the colorway is number 54 purple. And it is 100% mercerized cotton. And, oh, I did not read the back. Here we go. It is 100 grams, 150 meters. Yes, there it is. It was on the back. All right, so, yeah, I think that's all the information about the yarn. Yeah, really good yarn. Oh, I was looking on the inside. Have you all ever seen yarn labels where they have patterns written on the inside of the yarn label? Yeah, those are really cool, but you have to be careful not to rip the yarn label off, because then you'll rip the free pattern in half. So yeah, anyway, let me know if you've all ever had those. Okay, so the yarn, let's see, how much did I have? I measured the skein of yarn after I finished, and I only used 1 ounce of yarn. Like, the dishcloth only took 1 ounce of yarn, y'all. Like, that's amazing. And so with this being 3.5 ounces, I could make like 3 washcloths in one ball. This yarn is amazing. It was like, okay, this yarn was perfect because I had to do the heart outline, which is just a series of knit and purls. But I had to do that heart-shaped outline. And this yarn was so perfect for that because it almost has like a rope-like quality to it. Just looking at it. Yeah, it's a very, I don't know how to describe it. It looks like it's 2 plies. Maybe. Not sure. Does it say the ply on it? Not on the label, but it is very, very tightly spun. Like, super tightly spun. And it looks like it's 2. But anyway, it's perfect for a project like this. Now, it is a little rough on the hands. I'm not even going to lie to you. It is a little rough. But the finished product is amazing. Not sure if I would use this for a garment, but it is wonderful, wonderful yarn, especially for dishcloths. It has a really good texture on it that is going to clean your dishes and whatever else you use it for. Gonna get those pots and pans squeaky clean. So yeah, it's a really good yarn for that, and you know, love it. And so, like I said, yeah, I could have made 2 more, and would I use this yarn again? I would definitely use this yarn again, depending on the project that I want to make. But I think that I can brave I mean, it's not rough. I shouldn't say rough. It's just that, like, the way I knit, as an English flicker, the yarn is always going over this finger. And so I was like, okay, I need to take a break every once in a while. But yeah, so this yarn, it was really cool to work with. This dishcloth has a garter stitch design of a heart, and it is outlined in stockinette stitches. So the background of the heart are all stockinette stitches. And what's really cool is that it has a seed stitch border. So I really like that. That was really fun to make. And yeah, so I made it for my mother. And she said that she wanted to frame it. Which is so funny to me. I was like, you can use it to wash dishes. And she's like, no, I'm going to frame this. So I'll be excited to see what that looks like. And also she had mentioned, like, kind of using it as like a doily or something to put under a vase or something. I don't know. And then she said she's going to put like some flowers in the vase, and then she's going to have the washcloth underneath it, or the dishcloth underneath it. I don't know, but she likes it. That's all that matters, right? So, Now, as I mentioned, the yarn, it's going to be really good for picking up dirt. So that texture provides like a really good stitch definition. And yeah, and what I really like about it is you can easily see that heart design, because I have made washcloths in the past, like my Doctor Who washcloths and stuff like that. And sometimes it's kind of hard to see the outline of what you're trying to make, and you have to hold it at different angles and stuff. But not with this yarn. I mean, whatever you are trying to make or outline, you will be able to see it really, really well. And so another thing I wanted to mention, that this pattern is super, super easy to read. It's super well written. And y'all, it only took me 1 day to make this dishcloth, and I love that. Let me know in the comments if you have knitted or want to knit any of these projects, and also let me know some pattern recommendations for a leftover yarn. And I also wanted to just kind of let you all know about some upcoming videos that I have. I have finished my toaster tee, but it's in the process of blocking now. So, I will have a dedicated video for the toaster tee, which is a knitted tee. And it's designed by Rebecca Cowl of the Creya Baya. And also, I am currently working on a crochet t-shirt, and I just joined for the sleeves. So not a whole lot going on, but I I just did that, so I will be doing a dedicated video for that as well. And that is designed by Ashley Rivas of Tiny Couch Crochet. I really like that name. But yeah, so let me know what you all worked on while watching, or did you just chill? Also, thank you so much for clicking that notification bell and liking the video. I really appreciate that. Definitely check out my YouTube community tab. I ask a lot of fun questions there. In fact, I posted a question this morning about bulky weight yarn because I really want you all's opinion on that. Yeah, and also, if you would like to become a member of the channel, you can simply click on the join button below. There's 3 tiers. Each tiers have different perks. So definitely make sure you look at that because they all have different perks. Some of those perks include a bonus video each month and an invitation to a private Facebook group and private YouTube community tab. So definitely check that out. I hope to do more with my membership. I'm trying to come up with like ideas and things to do. So yeah, but anyway, that's another thing. So yeah, just check that out if you want. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, bye.